The West made a deal with the devil, and they're paying a horrendous price for their greed. In the 1980s, the West made a Faustian bargain with the Red Dragon, and, as with all deals with the devil, it is time to collect. And now the payback comes in the form of a devastating virus. About 40 years ago, the West entered into a truly Faustian bargain with the Red Dragon. A Faustian bargain is an agreement in which a person abandons his or her spiritual values or moral principles in order to obtain knowledge, wealth, or other benefits. It is a deal which focuses on present gain without considering the long-term consequences. A Faustian bargain is synonymous with making a deal with the devil. It comes from the legend of Faust, who made a contract with the devil, exchanging his soul for unlimited knowledge and worldly pleasures. In the Faustian bargain, the West agreed to open their markets to purchase Red Dragon goods, and the Red Dragon, in exchange, opened their nation to foreign investments and manufacturing. What motivated the West to make such a bargain? Greed. The Red Dragon was full of workers who would work at a much lower cost. Red Dragon factories would not be encumbered with unions, workplace safety laws, or environmental regulations. What motivated the Red Dragon? A desire to survive. They needed a boost to their sagging economy. They could give their people a higher standard of living and more comfortable lifestyle. And the Red Dragon could continue their oppressive, totalitarian surveillance state and their horrible human rights abuses. The West would turn a blind eye to the Red Dragon's persecution of Christians, Falun Gong practitioners, Uyghur Muslims, and other minorities. There was also another horrendous practice that would have to be overlooked by Westerners wanting Red Dragon's cheap goods: forced organ harvesting. Red Dragon's communist regime has for decades practiced systematic, involuntary organ removal from prisoners of conscience. Unwilling donors are brutally executed and their organs sold to their own citizens or foreign transplant tourists. This ugly crime of organ harvesting is practiced on a massive scale and has been exposed with mounds of evidence. But most Western governments are reluctant to acknowledge this crime against humanity. There's just too much profit in having the Red Dragon manufacture their goods. Citizens in the West also benefit from cheaper prices for manufactured goods, and if they travel to the Red Dragon, they can obtain a quick organ transplant. The Faustian bargain with the Red Dragon has continued despite all known abuses. But, as with all pacts with the devil, the bill has now come due, this time in the form of a deadly coronavirus. Western business leaders and politicians bet everything on a system that made the entire global economy dependent on supply chains that ran through the Red Dragon. But when the coronavirus hit, people became ill and died. Factories shut down, and shipments from the Red Dragon plummeted. Now that the supply chain is broken, many dark days of shortages are ahead, and with the global pandemic growing exponentially, the Western world is poised to pay the highest price of all for their bargain. Thousands, maybe even millions, of men and women becoming sick and dying. Listen to these biting words from the book of Isaiah, chapter 28, to the rulers of Jerusalem, who also made a covenant with the devil. Therefore, hear the word of the Lord, you scoffers, who rule this people in Jerusalem. You boast, we have entered into a covenant with death. With the realm of the dead we have made an agreement. When an overwhelming scourge sweeps by, it cannot touch us, for we have made a lie our refuge, and a falsehood our hiding place. So this is what the sovereign Lord says. See, I lay a stone in Zion, a tested stone, a precious cornerstone for a sure foundation. The one who relies on it will never be stricken with panic. I will make justice the measuring line, and righteousness the plumb line. Hail will sweep away your refuge, the lie, and water will overflow your hiding place. Your covenant with death will be annulled. Your agreement with the realm of the dead will not stand. When the overwhelming scourge sweeps by, you will be beaten down by it. As often as it comes, it will carry you away. Morning after morning, by day and by night, it will sweep through. The understanding of this message will bring sheer terror. The bed is too short to stretch out on, the blanket too narrow to wrap around you. The Lord will rise up as he did at Mount Perazim. He will rouse himself as in the valley of Gideon, to do his work, his strange work, and perform his task, his alien task. Now stop your mocking, or your chains will become heavier. The Lord Almighty has told me of the destruction decreed against the whole land. It's Isaiah 28:14-22. During this current crisis, you may see firsthand the futility of trusting in money for security. The old financial system is rapidly being destroyed. Thousands are losing their jobs. We urge you to come out from among them and be separate. Touch not the unclean thing. Build on the chief cornerstone, Jesus Christ, putting your faith and trust in him, and not in the schemes of men. Read the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew chapters 5-7, to find the heart of Jesus' teachings. He tells us, therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house. Yet it did not fall, because it had its foundation on the rock. But everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. The rain came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against that house, and it fell with a great crash. Matthew 7:24-27.